When have you witnessed sweet justice? 2 weeks ago, I was at my friend's apartment in a small city. The houses are rather old, very old actually, and used to be considered high class for nobles. Now they're a little more than college ghettos. My buddy is in one of the central party blocks for the city college, so house parties are a commonality, even open ones where you just walk in for a $5 fee to the frat house. Oh, freshmen. Anyhow, my buddy had about 15, maybe 20 people over, all of whom were behaving fine. Except this one girl who was getting increasingly obnoxious as the night went on. Eventually, it got to be 12:30 a.m. and they were asked politely by the incredibly chill house owner, 3 of them rent together so not really the owner, to lower the volume. They did. It should be noted that in my city at 12:30 a.m., cops will start busting up parties like clockwork. Honest to God, there's a cop at every block waiting for exactly 12:30 to bust up parties. They aren't jerks about it, unless you're first as they usually have better stuff to do, like actual gang problems in the city only a few miles north in the real ghetto. So it's now 12:45 a.m. and Cascada finally finished playing and the dude again says, this time it's not really a question, it's more of a very polite demand. Turn the music down. Well, by 12:54 and Kesha finally ending, he's had enough. He very, very calmly removes the iPod from the amp and hands it to the girl and says, thanks. Like, thanks for letting us use it. She sneers and waits until he walks away and puts it right back on. At this point, he's had enough. Eventually, and fast-forwarding through about 10 minutes of petty arguments, she's finally in the doorway, second floor, screaming in his face. Come on, brah. What the hell, brah? Leave then, brah. And he's like, it's my house. Oh, did I mention I was designated driver that night? Only sober person. And a pre-law student, for what that's worth. So finally the girl leaves, tripping over her drunk self, and the really chill guy says to his friend, his real friend who brought them, please, never bring those people again. I mean that. They hug it out and she apologizes like 50 times and we think that's the end of it. This is where it gets real. So things are finally settled down, the music is lower and much more relaxed, deadmau5 instead of like Skrillex, you know? And we're all just chilling. A few people blazing and my buddy, who also rents, is missing. I finally find him outside in the small balcony screaming down at the 2 drunk girls on the sidewalk. Apparently they didn't get the memo to just freaking leave. We even offered to call them a damn cab. After a few minutes featuring quotes such as, drunk friend, I own this sidewalk. I have the deed, yo. I own that one square. Girl 1, walk away, brah. Just walk away, then just leave. We get this gem from the other girl. Well, I just called the cops and said 2 frat kids who were drinking and smoking grass just tried to violate me. Have a nice life, losers. We all just freeze. Wait, are you serious? My friend yells down, while the ha-ha in his voice is gone. Basically, even though it's entirely unfair, regardless of the situation, anytime a girl cries help for that, someone gets arrested, even falsely. The city cops are fair, but that is almost always a catastrophic trump card to pull. This is where I come in. I walk back into the party, turn the music off, and in my best screaming voice say, everyone listen up! You have 3 minutes, maybe less. Every beer can on the porch needs to be moved. Everyone needs to be downstairs, grass out of pockets, no cups and hands in the next 2. Cops in the way. Stay calm. This is no joke. I got this. Next thing I do is call 911 and say, 2 really intoxicated females won't leave. I think they just left another party because they're asking for their friend. We don't want trouble, but we also would like her to leave and I've been asking her repeatedly to for the last several minutes. Immediately, I race downstairs and remove every can I can, toss it into a bag, throw the bags over the fence, cops try and nail you for just having cans on the side if they really want to mess with you, and immediately lock the doors, both of them. I sprint back upstairs, triple check everyone is downstairs, yell out, 1 minute! And literally just after that, 2 cruisers with lights race in. I take a deep breath, they jump out of the cars, walk briskly up to the door and pound so freaking hard on the downstairs door. Mind you, I'm sitting on the porch just hanging out. Officers, thank you. Actually, the problem resolved itself. I was just about to call back and they cut me off. Are you the owner of address? No, I just rent here. Lie. Let me see some ID. Officer, I actually don't have my wallet on me, but like I said, the problem, who else is here? Just a few people. I think the 2 girls went that way. One didn't look so great. Excuse me, officer, they're not home. I think I can speak for Richie when I say don't touch the window. I'm not trying. Can you unlock this door for me? Cop says, standing at the wrong end of the porch. Excuse me? Open this door or we'll open it for you. Officers, with all due respect, they called in relation to a trespass. We are responding. I don't care what you called for. You need to open this door now. Wow, do you have a warrant? May I ask what the scope of any search would be? No. Then I can't open this door. Then you'll be arrested for obstruction. He says, taking a huge step for me, taking out his big, huge flashlight weapon thing. Yeah, like I'm scared of some photons. Sir, I understand you're doing your job. I'm not sure why you need to search.
You want to cover for yourself? Cooperate. I guarantee if you try and cover your buddies, you'll both go down. Hard.
Excuse me? I said with a huge smirk on my face, even cocking my head off to the side. Third cop rolls in and asks for ID. I basically ignore him and tell him I don't have any and I'm not required to show him, and give him a bit of a runaround saying under what crime am I being investigated, blah blah.
Who else is here?
Look, with all due respect, I'd like to get back to our game.
You think this is a game?
Yeah, I'm DM tonight.
Did you have anything to drink tonight?
I'm going to answer any further questions, but no. Even if I had, I'm not bothering anyone. I called you. The Rockies start cutting in. I guess dispatch finally got through to them about my call.
Are you?
I don't have a name. Yes, I am, so I'd appreciate it if you'd take that light out of my face and stop treating me like a criminal. I simply called.
Who else is here?
Thank you for lowering your voice and light, sir. Just a few friends. Again, I just wanted to make sure.
We got a call about a potential situation involving assault.
Excuse me?
You need to open this door or we'll open it for you.
Why? Because one of the girls we asked to leave threatened to end us and said her ex-boyfriend was in there?
I don't care who you say is in there.
Officer, I don't understand the problem. I called 911 and asked for assistance for two young ladies because they're throwing stuff at our windows, yelling that someone named Craig is inside, and she knows he's in there, and now all of a sudden you want to check? Is this Craig a criminal?
You tell me. Mind if we see the damage inside?
No, we already documented it. It's fine. We're not looking to press charges against them. One of the other officers comes around for the back of the house, who I hadn't seen yet. I guess covering the back. Sneaky prick. I wasn't about to start lawyering them about trespass and probable cause, etc., because I'd lose that fight. The now four all look at me and ask what's going on. About 15 minutes ago, we were playing Dungeons and Dragons. One cop literally laughs. We were playing a game. Anyway, we heard something break upstairs, and when we went out to check, two young ladies were screaming about someone, presumably a boyfriend or ex-boyfriend hiding inside. They were both clearly drunk. One of them threatened to throw fire or something. The other said she was going to call the police because her brother was a Marine or something. We asked them to leave. They threw another bottle at...
Where'd the bottle come from?
One cop cuts me off. I have no idea. So we asked them if they needed us to call them a cab, and then I came downstairs to do just that and hopefully tell them to leave. A few moments later, they finally moved and...
Which way?
That way. Stayed out of there for a little while longer after calling the police, but apparently she must have called you guys as well.
Mind if we take a look inside then?
Well, to be real honest, I'm a firm believer in the Constitution. I know it's nerdy, but I'd just like to get back to my game.
Is this your can?
One of the officers says, who I guess looked under the deck. What the heck? No, sir.
You know, this can give us the right to search, right?
I'm here to play games any more than you are, sir. The only game I'd like to finish tonight is the quest for the Crystal Shrine. The cops just stood there like, are you freaking serious.jpg, for at least 5 seconds.
Okay. Well, if they come back later tonight, let us know.
Yeah, thanks for responding so quickly. I said, holding out my hand. The cop was like, can't shake hands, says some more cop lingo and just hopped back in their cruiser. 30 minutes later, we get a surprise knock at the door. By this point, it was decided it was a god among men for saving everyone. I know lying to the police is never a great plan, but given the two options of letting everyone get stuck with potential charges, I went with option 2. The police are basically wised up to the situation and tell us.
We know the two girls were at your party. You have one chance to be straight with me. If you're honest, we might help you. Otherwise, you're done.
At first, I panicked. I'm like, well, life is over. Then I think, oh, bro, it ain't even like that.
Think, brain, think.
Just as I'm about to ask, how do you know? Then perfect quote hits me. If 6 guys watching Battlestar Galactica and D&D night is a party, then I don't know where the hell those 2 were.
That's it. I told you to be straight.
Excuse me? I don't know what you're insinuating, but as a member of the LGBT community, I think it's absolutely absurd you come here accusing me of having a party. Anything else you'd like to say, officer? As if I'm asking his name. Also, I'm not gay, but I figured, what the hell?
That's not what he meant, and you know it,
the other cop says. Officer, I'm glad you're doing your job, but again, without a warrant, you're not just going to crash my party. In fact, if we're done here, I'd like to be on my way. Silence.
I picked her up about 20 minutes ago, just around the corner. She says she knows Emily and Dan, who are both at the party. We actually talked to Dan on the phone, who confirmed she was there.
My heart went to my throat. Dan is the third and final owner. Considering no Dan is on the lease here, nor is a tenant next door, I'm not sure what you mean. Did he provide an address? I'm done playing games. Officer, asking the other for his name, he didn't answer.
Yes.
All right, that should be sufficient for a warrant.
We don't need a warrant.
Okay. They didn't know how to respond to that. About 15 seconds later, the cop finally says,
"They're both in holding right now. If you'd like to press charges for the bottle they threw, we can help out with that if you'll show."
"Just want them and you off of my property. You tried to do the right thing, you try to watch out, and you get harassed for being gay. Wow, what a night. What a night." They got pretty flustered.
"Don't care which way you're swinging, pal.
Not pals.
All right. Well, they're being charged with resisting arrest, criminal mischief, and public urination, and a few others I can't discuss,"
the cop says with a big grin. My stomach was still knots, or I'd have burst out laughing too. "Want a beer?" I said to the officer.
"Nope."
"I'm kidding. I don't drink." The cops drove off. The two girls are probably still doing community service. We found out later one was on probation at the time and ended up losing her scholarship. Final charges. And this is why you don't say something happened to you that totally didn't happen. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel so you wouldn't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. Now let's get back to the stories. Story 2. I used to work on one of the rides at Rainforest Cafe. They have a mini boat ride you can go on and ride through an animatronic jungle with narrative playing in the speakers. The boats have a weight limit, so we can only let a certain number of people on, and bigger people tend to make the boat lean to one side. Well, one day, this family of 5 pretty big people want to ride all together. We try to explain to them that we have to split them up because the boats tend to take on water when overcrowded. One lady took extreme offensive to us, calling her fat, which we did, but hey, who are we kidding here? Raised hell and chewed into my coworker's bum, caused a bit of a scene and demanded that they all ride the boat together. I'm operating the ride, and the employee on the other side looks to me, and I give him the nod. Well, they all load onto the boat, which rests in a conveyor belt. I start the belt up, and the boat drops into the river with a big splash. Some of the people inside get wet, and some water fills into the boat. Miraculously, they're still floating. On the ride, we have cameras to see into the jungle to see if someone gets out and messes with the animatronics. As I'm watching them, I see the boat start getting lower and lower, when all of a sudden, the boat begins taking on water like the Titanic. All you can hear are screams blaring over the rolling thunder and animal soundtracks. We had to stop the entire ride and go out to the river to find them all soaking wet and embarrassed as hell, and had to do the walk of shame in front of others waiting to ride. The boat, by the way, sank to the bottom of the river, and the ride had to be shut down until we got it out. River is about 4 or 5 feet deep. Story 3. When I was younger, like somewhere between 5 to 7 years old, I had one of those very realistic-looking baby doll toys that had a soft body but had hard plastic vinyl arms, legs, and head. I took it nearly everywhere with me, except for elementary school, as that just wasn't allowed because my mom didn't want to get it ruined. Well, one day I'm out shopping with my mom at the grocery store like I normally did with her. I put baby clothes in the doll, buckled it into the little seat for kids in the top of the shopping cart, and was helping mom push the cart around like that. We go about our shopping just fine. But the moment that we're about to leave with our groceries, some random lady shows up and starts screaming at my mom for leaving her baby in the cart and how she's going to call Child Protective Services on her for that. A small crowd started up around us, and my mom got really angry and didn't know what the lady was talking about until she pointed at the doll in the cart. I was still buckled in the seat. I had apparently forgotten to take the doll out of the cart. And being a kid at the time, I didn't understand the big deal. I just went up to the cart and proceeded to rip the doll's head off and said, "Lady, it's not a real baby, it's my dolly." She screamed loudly, stared, got red-faced, and then split instantly after she realized her mistake. The crowd disappeared and my mom was just chuckling a little as she dragged me off to the car with her groceries and headed on home. As a note, with soft body, hard limb dolls, the limbs and or head can easily pop off. I once had an uncle called Uncle Ugly that used to tear it off all the time. Ugh, I hate people like that who go off on someone without all the facts. Story 4. I don't remember the exact details of this, but my mom told me about a time she and I went grocery shopping together. It was right around the time I was perfecting my counting. My mom and I had just run into the store real quick to pick up a few things. My dad was at home with my 6-month-old brother, who was ill. Just as we get to the 10 items or less line, this absolute witch of a woman cuts in front of us with clearly too many items for the express line. My mom gave her a, "Really?" look, and the woman gave her a nasty glare as if to say, "Do something about it." My mom didn't have to do anything about it. Good old me did my counting thing and announced very clearly for everyone within a 10-mile radius to hear, "Mommy, that lady has 19 things." The cashier turned to the woman and said, "Well, she's right." The woman muttered something unintelligible under her breath and then got out of the line. I remember leaving the store and not understanding what my mother was laughing so hard at. Story 5. Working in the produce department years ago, we would have children come through all the time and smash fruit and wreck our displays. This was pretty common, and since this was a Walmart, the parents never seemed to care. Well, one day, this little a-hole is going right on down the wet case, smashing up everything he can get his tiny hands on. Cucumbers, lettuce, kale, throwing turnips, etc. His mom is there and sees what he's doing and makes absolutely no effort to try and stop it. The other employees and I were just standing there watching all this happen because we really can't scold a customer or her kid. Anyways, the kid reaches the hot pepper section, jalapenos, serranos, habaneros, and starts mashing them up in his hands. Now at this point we all saw what he was doing and could have stopped it, but screw it. This kid is going to learn a life lesson. The mom and the son finally leave the fresh area and walk on down towards the rest of the grocery store. About 5 minutes after they leave, an unholy shrieking pierces through the entire store. The little guy must have rubbed his eyes. We all went down to take a peek, and this kid was in the middle of the aisle, writhing on the floor and screaming. The mother had no idea what was going on, and absolutely nothing would console him. She ended up leaving her cart there and dragging her kid out while yelling at him to shut up. Wash your hands after you handle hot peppers, folks. Looks like the lesson burned into his memory. Yeah. Story 6. I work as a manager at a restaurant, and one night I had a guest loudly telling a server that if his fries were cold, he was going to send them back so she'd better make sure it was hot. I made sure his fries were straight out of the deep fryer, and I personally brought out his meal. I guess all the other tables seated around him were watching to see his reaction after his loud performance that he would send his food back. So I put the meal down and he took one lick and dramatically sighed and said the fries were cold. I replied, "I'm sorry, sir, but they're not." Now he's mad and loudly said, "They're cold. I can tell just by looking at them." I replied again, "The fries are hot." So he says, "Oh, really?" He dramatically picked up a fry and held it between his thumb and forefinger. He held it in front of his own face while locking eyes with me and squeezed his fingers together. What came next was something that continues to fill my heart with joy 6 years after it happened. He let out a surprising shout of pain and dropped the fry onto the table. The tables around us who had been watching started laughing and clapping. His face turned red. He put his head down and didn't say another word. He just smiled and said, "Enjoy your meal," and walked away. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you made it this far, I'm sure you'll also enjoy. What's the best comeback you've ever witnessed? Story 2 was epic. See you in that video.